Ladies and gentlemen, trans and non-binary punks of all ages and denominations, welcome back to another episode of Not Just a Phase, and thanks for joining us here in our fourth season. If you're new here, let me get the plugs out of the way really quick. We're online at notjustaphase.net. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Not Just a Phase Worldwide. We're occasionally on Twitter at NJAP Worldwide. And we have a Patreon with video podcasts and some free bonus content if you want to help support the expansion of our podcast, the blog spot, all the other great stuff we do. Shout out to our video editing team at Blacko Media, who are also the boys from Medulla Lunar. Go check them out and give them a follow as well. So since around 2002, there's been a major name trailblazer. Fuck. Since 2002, there's been.
I'll say, I don't know what. It's 2001. I think like Wikipedia or whatever, they have it all messed up. But yeah, I've been seeing that people have been like, oh, 2002. I'm like, no, we've already started recording. It's 2001.
Was that as Endeavor or is that like
Endeavor.
You guys? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so we count that. All right, I got you.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say, are you counting by the old name? Okay.
yeah. Just because it is number 12. We just changed names. It's all the same.
Yeah,
Fair
different
enough.
coat of paint. I got
You
you.
just changed the fucking note that I'm reading, like on the document.
Yeah, man, that's why we do it live, baby.
It's so professional. All right. So since 2001, there's been one major name trailblazing a path for all music that is mathy and screamy. A band that the heavy music community has considered a household name and an inspiration to so many bands since their very first album, Put on Your Rosy Red Glasses. Today, we are privileged to be speaking with Jesse Korman, who is the vocalist for the number 12, Looks Like You. Jesse is a man with many talents who wears many hats on and off stage, and we are beyond excited to chat about his art, his inspirations, origin stories, and all the way up to his current and future plans. So welcome to the show, Jesse, and thank you so much for coming to chat with us. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm doing fantastic. It's always a nice, always a good day when you could have some good conversations with some people, you know? This is Jesse Korman from the number 12 Looks Like You, and you're listening to Tombo's Wound on Not Just a Phase.
Fingers crossed, 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 crossed. I'm hoping for someday I cross my fingers in a superstitious way. Hey, hey, hey. Whatever else you love and dance between shades of gray. God give them a chance for a
wanted to we asked before we hit record, but just to be honest and let our listeners know, you haven't heard our questions list and you haven't even heard a full episode of this podcast.
That is correct. I am confirming that.
Do you listen to any podcasts in your free time?
I'll be honest, I do not. It's something that I feel like I genuinely want to do. It's not even something that I have my nose up to. Every single time, like I have so many friends who are just I look up to that all listen to podcasts and they're like, you're for what you do, everything that you do, you would love podcasts. And it is true. So whenever I do hear them and hear snippets of them, I get them through TikTok or Instagram and I see snippets of a podcast and I'm wondering why I don't listen to it. And as the years kept going by when podcasts first started coming out, I was just realizing that every time I had the opportunity to put a podcast on, it's usually the time that I'm doing my thinking. And when I'm listening to something else, it stops me from thinking. And that's sort of why I never find myself actively going after a podcast, because I just have my hands in so many different industries that I'm always constantly thinking. And I would love to set time aside and actually listen to podcasts. But yeah, I feel like whenever I'm not actively doing something physically, taking photos or whatever the fuck I'm doing, I need to just be thinking about it all. And yeah, that's it has no disrespect to podcasts. I actually love the idea of podcasts. I would love to do my own one day. I think they're fucking great. But like I just don't just haven't really had the time.
I'd strongly discourage you from running your own. It's a lot of work and super not fun.
I think the novelty of not running a podcast but never listening to any other podcast would actually be kind of cool.
See,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's something I'll be doing.
But
Yeah.
that's exactly what I do. I don't listen to any other podcast except this one when I have to edit it, right?
Go.
I'm not gonna out you right now, but
No, I do listen to some here and there.
yeah, we all know you
Regardless.
love Drew Afualo's podcast. It's all right, Rob.
I actually don't know who that is.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. We only ask because obviously we are a podcast, but before we get into discussing all your various works, I'm curious to know, like I was saying earlier, in terms of an origin story, like, do you recall how you were first introduced to punk rock or whatever alternative style of music you were first shown?
You know, true to New Jersey, you kind of grow up listening to anything. I mean, at least in my generation, you sort of grew up listening to hip hop and R&B and just that sort of world. So I didn't really know that there was another world that existed until I actually got to maybe like eighth grade. And then the first thing I was introduced to was corn. So it was corn.
Oh,
It was this just, obviously I don't gotta explain corn to anybody. Life is peachy, it's just I'm here, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I automatically get just blown out of my seat, just so blown away because it's just that intensity, So I immediately shift from truly it goes from like R&B and like hip hop to corn. and I didn't really know any other bands besides corn, so it was kind of just corn. And then there was like, ever so slowly did some of these other things get introduced. Limp Bizkit got introduced with $3 Bill Y'all, and then System of a Down, and then somehow it just sort of navigated into ska. So then I don't know why don't ask me how that transition happened, but it did. I know.
I was gonna ask.
Every
That is
punk's
wild.
journey.
Yeah, from new metal to ska, how does that happen?
The other way around.
That's
I think the intrigue of the like abrasive, heavy side of corn and Limp Bizkit, System of a Down. I think it was so new. So it was like a kid with cancer. I wanted to try every flavor. And then when ska happened, I got introduced to Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake, Catch 22, and then it was like going to a new candy store and all new flavor. So it wasn't necessarily that I was letting go of everything else. It was more of, wow, you tell me more about skanking. I want to do that. And sort of like a bit more into the ska and punk world, Less Than Jacob being a bit more punky, Goldfinger. And then that naturally just progressed a little bit more into punk. Then I got to like Bad Religion, Pennywise. So it started getting a little bit faster, a little bit more, again, more punky. And then it just naturally found its way to screamo because, again, true to New Jersey, at a certain age, everyone sort of hits that New Jersey basement screamo scene in the late 90s, 2000s. And that was just where it all, that was it. That was the end. That was the beginning of the end for me. It was just hearing about this movement of Neil Perry and Seisha and Thursday, and just being like 13, 14 years old in Jersey and seeing these shows in New Brunswick and just being like, oh my God, what is this? And so it's just like, hey, those candy stores across the street are pretty cool, but come on this side of the street, check this fucking factory out. And that was it. It was just a sugar factory.
That was very well said.
Yeah, as a big fan of ska, I love hearing that.
Oh, dude, I went to what they have in New Jersey here. It's called Stoke for the Summer every year, and hosted by the Bouncing Souls. So I went to go photograph Bouncing Souls, and they had Catch 22 opening, but it was like Scout was alive and well, and I had no idea they were even playing. Dude, I was backstage just having this mini skank pit by myself, just going so hard. I'm like, oh my God, it still sounds great. Why? And I never stopped listening to it. It's just that I got so busy with things. So then when I heard it again, I went back to my car. I'm like, yeah, this is all I'm going to listen to for the rest of the year.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. Less Than Jake was shown to me when I was 10 years old.
Oh.
And I'm going to regret putting this on record, but the first time I saw them, I was 15 and I cried. I was so happy to see them. It's so good.
I respect it. I kind of cried at my first show too in the bathroom. It was like very like embarrassed, but it was 25 to Life. It was my first hardcore show, and I was like 14, and I like cried because I had been looking into their CD so much, and I saw him live, and I was like, "This is so great!"
Yeah,
oh, amazing.
I mean, it's an incredible feeling. You get I think there's a Yiddish word for klimt.
Yeah.
You're just like overcome. Yeah, I cried when I saw JC Chazé from NSYNC. I've been a huge NSYNC fan for a long time. Yeah,
really
got me emotional.
That's awesome.
I think that's when you can connect with other people, because music hits a chord with people in a way that when it's emotionally moving them, you sort of just know you're on the same page already. You're going to be into the same things because you're reacting to that the same way. And I definitely have friends who don't get even close to that. People who don't even listen to music. I'm like, what?
I know.
But it's people who react and it strikes a chord with them where you can't describe it, and emotion comes out. And that's what I say, like what number 12 is. It's funny enough. Like I say we are extremo. That's sort of what I've been trying to categorize as number 12. It was sure screamo, mathcore, all of it, grindcore. You can call it all these different categories, but it really is just extreme emo because it's its most pure, at its most purest core. It is just pure emotion.
I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more.
Especially with the stuff you guys make.
What was that, Elias?
Especially with the stuff that the number 12 makes,
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, that blew my I was 13 or 14 when I first saw a live video, and that was something. Jesus. If we're gonna switch to the other hat though, one of the other hats that you wear, in terms of like your film and photography work and such. In your opinion, who's the biggest name you've worked with so far, and who would you love to work with in the future that you haven't yet?
Oh boy. It's hard to say because biggest can be, I guess
how do you measure that, right?
Yeah,
relative too, I guess.
I guess
exactly. That's why I said in your opinion, right? Like who would be the biggest name you consider?
in my opinion, I would say for me personally, it would be Dustin Hoffman, just because I had grown up watching Hook religiously, and him being Captain James Hook was just, I mean, you don't get closer to Robin Williams than that, in a way, who was like my childhood like idol. And so I would definitely say it's because he's a living legend. I would definitely say it's Dustin Hoffman. Um, Although there is Sam Jackson, who is arguably probably a bigger name in the industry, I would say. Not, I think they're both at the same level, but I feel like he might be a little bit more commercially relevant, maybe, I don't know. But who I'd really like to work with, I mean, geez, I don't know, either Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler. I think that would be those would be my top ones. And again, it's all because I'm not really I haven't gotten starstruck, and I honestly don't know how many years. I just don't anymore. It's just my job and it's the field that I work in. So anyone that I'm going to be jumping up and down to working with or seeing whatever is going to be from childhood. It's going to be someone who I can directly connect watching as a child, and just like Ace Ventura, like watching that. And I just watched Ace Ventura too. And it's just like, I'm like, oh my God, this is like Jim Carrey he was just on another level. He was, I have a Dumb and Dumber tattoo. And Adam Sandler
Seriously?
is like, I have it's kind of hard to show because I'd have to stand on top of my table because it's on my ankle. But I
What is
have,
it of though? Yeah.
it's PB the parrot with his head taped on, and on a banner across the parrot it says, "Harry, I took care of it."
God.
That's awesome.
But I also love Adam Sandler because Billy Madison. I watched that religiously. It's just and I think growing up in sort of a dark place it was a very dark upbringing that I had in my childhood all the way up until I was about 15. It was always these lighthearted movies, these funny comedic films, TV shows. That was true joy. That was euphoria in my youth. Like nothing, I didn't really have friends whatsoever. It's part of why I dropped out, because I felt so left out. And it was just always difficult to navigate in my childhood. And the one thing I can always come back to was film and TV. It never let me down. It always made me laugh. It always made me smile. It always made me feel like I was in a different place. And to be in this industry as an adult and to be in music, it was like those were the two things I would grow up. It was Michael Jackson, and then it was Pee Wee Herman, and it was those two things growing up. It was what got me through to and you're so young at that age. You don't really know emotions. You don't really know what you're feeling. You don't know what's misery. You don't really know what's pure joy, but you just know feelings. And so I just know that I didn't really know I was in a miserable place, but I did know that those things were so important to me in my life. And so those things I still hold very close to me. People who on screen, the Pee Wee Hermans or the Jim Carreys, they just brought so much happiness and laughs. So yeah, it'd be an honor to work with those kinds of people.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Carrey, same here. Like his '90s run, unreal. The Mask,
Oh,
Billy Madison, sorry, that's Sandler.
unbelievable.
But yeah, Ace Ventura series, like incredible. Same with Sandler too, honestly.
Yeah, like all of his early stuff. I'm goddamn just such a beast, man. Such a
Yeah.
beast.
Yeah,
So since we're, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was going to cut you off real quick. For those of you who grew up with the internet, before we had the internet, we just had Billy Madison quotes that we'd shout at each other.
It's true.
We didn't have memes yet. So
Yeah, there weren't memes. It was just we would just yell movie quotes at each other, and then it was
yeah.
that for a decade, and then it turned into Anchorman quotes for like another decade.
Yeah. It was like,
But I think
stop looking at me, Swan. And eventually it switched over. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So we would really like to know then. I mean, because clearly you've been you worked in the industry, and also you're such like you have such a deep love for it. What do you if you don't have to give us a ton, but if you could, what are some of your most underrated movies and maybe underrated TV shows that you'd like to put the viewers on? It's like they don't know about it, but you do, and you're willing to share, like that kind of thing.
And underrated, I feel like everything that I really appreciate is that has gotten the notoriety that it's gotten, everything from Twilight Zone, obviously,
Right.
to the Pee-wee's Playhouse, but even to just like current stuff like Black Mirror. It's just next. It's just such next level, thought-provoking um, entertainment. That's what it is. It's entertainment. It's so thought-provoking. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the stuff that I'm quite into definitely has its recognition. Yeah, I'm definitely, and I grew up on horror. I think a lot of people in my scene of music have we all sort of connect a lot on old school horror films. Growing up on Faces of Death and Stephen King's It, just very brutal, brutal stuff. But it was things that I think I don't know. I think that people who are into horror are just such a unique breed as well, and it might not have gotten the sort of big attention that um, it deserves. Obviously Stephen King's It did, obviously,
Right.
but I do feel like that's such a again similar to what we were talking about with people who listen to music and just get emotionally struck and they're speechless. I feel like people who are into that horror who grew up on it, that I've just grown to learn that they're just such a specific kind of person who I just connect with. I feel like they're so real. They I don't know. There maybe there's just they're not afraid to sort of be attracted to the morbid. They're not afraid to see a car crash happening and just watch it straight through. And they're just very real. And some people just want to not acknowledge that, which is cool. It's that's fine. But maybe they sort of ignore other aspects of life that maybe that I don't know if I'm trying to make a connection to people as like human
Right.
beings, but just something that I personally observed. So yeah.
No, I mean, I'm very inclined to agree with you, and kind of like moving a little bit towards like music side of things too now. Heavy music, as you said, often goes hand in hand with horror, like serial killers, eldritch horrors, like stark raving madness, like all themes that have been like plumbed for both like lyrical and like visual content, especially. But like, I was really curious about like how like your love for like horror has like both informed your musical work and then like also in turn like now informed like your current career like path.
Yeah, like I just said, growing up on all that, we were kids in the hood who went to the video store to write Faces of Death at 10 years old. Like it's the most brutal for anyone who doesn't know. Faces of Death is arguably at the time in the 80s or early 90s. I don't know if there was anything that was more disturbing, fucked up, just truly morbid, real. It's a mix of real and fake, but just death in every which way, like actually watching someone fall out of a building and explode and splatter on the ground, and then mixed in with some stuff that was more, Freddy Krueger, and to make you believe it's real, but then they put something in real, and so it's Faces of Death. That whole world, I was so intrigued by it, but I think as much as you want to celebrate life, you need to acknowledge and celebrate death in a way too, because it's something that we all know. No matter where we all go in our lives, we all know we're going to end that same way. And I feel like people who are just constantly afraid of it, and just like, oh, that's so fucked up that that person they're doing a movie about someone getting killed. It's just like, yeah, but it's just like you're gonna die anyways. We're all gonna die. People die every single day. It's just like if you can't live your life acknowledging the facts of things that are gonna happen, it's just you're just gonna go walk through life afraid the whole time. In my opinion, I'm not saying these are facts. This is just my own opinion. So
Right.
I think that resonated with me when we started, Endeavor number 12. And when we were Endeavor, I was 16, and that is who number 12 is. Endeavor, for anyone who doesn't know, it was the first band name that we came up with, but it's still all the same members. We put a name to what we were doing, and we didn't really know what it was because we were so excited about what we were doing. We just kept writing and writing and realized we needed a band name. So we threw together what Endeavor. Okay, fine, sure. Anyways, this song, but it was number 5. And the lyrics and everything else, it was just, just like every emo kid, it's talking about, like a heartbreak. And I'm so emotionally devastated. I'm gonna kill myself. And it's like what every teenage kid sort of goes through. But then as we got older and as we got more mature, wrote more sophisticated, quote unquote, songs, the lyrics got more creative with that. And it was everything has a true core. There was never any song that was written that was made maliciously to just spark violence. Everything has its core story through line, and it was almost resonating with it was almost connected to all of us as individuals being these misfits and outcasts in how we grew up. I grew up in the hood, and I moved to suburbia, and I couldn't really make any friends, so I eventually dropped out of high school because I don't really have many friends. And I start a band because what else do you do when you drop out of high school? And then you look at all these other band members in our band, and we were all sort of not a perfect fit for anybody. And then when we started playing shows, we were ripped apart like you wouldn't believe. We were made fun of. It was because Jersey was known at that time, either you're in that Thursday underground basement scene, or you're in this New York hardcore beatdown sort of scene, the hate breed sort of world. And New Jersey was very much a beatdown, breakdown, hardcore state. So we got shows on both sides. And when we would get some of these like heavier shows with the hate breeds or red chords or whatever, we were just like, and even local bands that we grew up with, who we looked up to, we would just get made fun of. And because we were playing these clean guitar parts and screaming in the air, and it was quite emotional, and people are like laughing, and it was kind of embarrassing in a way. It's just like, geez, like, I should have known, being from Jersey. I know that we're assholes. I'm not an asshole, but like, we are notoriously known to be assholes. So naturally, what am I going to write about next time? Of course, I'm going to write these songs that are going to be like, you know what, motherfuckers? Sure, you can make, people who are trying to put art out there, these teenagers putting art out there and make fun of them, but we'll have the last laugh. And so that's sort of a lot of the lyrics really just connected with this imbalance, I guess, this imbalance of people who think that they can sort of just carry on in life and have an impact on someone else's life that will stick with them and just not have any consequences. So in a way, number 12 was just meant to be this chaotic wall of just madness that just punishes, and you just never stops. It's never relentless. And so it's just the most ferocious screams, and then just growls, and then these breakdowns, and just never stop, and being unpredictable. And so it just, we built this fan base in Jersey. It just like kept growing, and we never cared. Obviously, if we cared what people thought, I think we would have went into the hardcore scene and wrote breakdowns and just been like, na 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 na, bum 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 bum, and just we just didn't care. And to find fans that were resonating with it was just so unexpected. So we just kept going, and everything sort of connected. So after we met people around the country who were, oh my God, your lyrics really connected with me, and the way you spoke about this, I connected it with my parents in a way, and it's so emotionally frustrated. And just it really like, that was really amazing to just know that it spoke to other people, and the ambiguity of where it went lyrically, because I wrote it in a way that you can sort of connect it to some sort of subject of your own in your own life, and people found way to connect with it. And then when I got into movies and making these films, it's the same sort of concept, but you're just translating it to a visual and audio thing, piece of content as opposed to just audio. So the things that I gravitated towards and wanted to work more on, and even scripts that we're working on, it's like if you're able to speak to a specific kind of person, you don't have to speak to everyone, but if you're speaking to yourself and you're true with yourself and you're making your own real art and you're just true, you're just pure, it's going to connect with somebody. And that's what I realized with movies is like, you try to make something that's more commercial that you think everybody wants is the ones that are just, oh yeah, it didn't do that well. But then when you're you're just like, hey, this is really cool for me. I photographed this movie Terrifier 3, and that movie was like such a specific kind of person. And those people, they made it for themselves. And that's it. They didn't they made it because they were just, this is entertaining, this is amazing. And the whole world was like, oh my God, give me more. And I got in on that. And I was like, this is kind of what number 12 is in movie form. It's like not caring what anyone else thinks and just doing what you love.
Yeah, I mean, that's an incredible answer to start, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And like, I felt like that through line in your lyrics, and like, you never felt like your band has always felt like a response to something, and I never really quite knew what, but that's how it always came across to me. And I'm sure Rob's felt the same thing because we both like connected, I think, with the number 12 at like roughly the same age range in our lives. And I found you guys in high school when I was also like an outcast, like downtrodden, like didn't have a lot of friends, like didn't know what was going on. And I remember actually, I'll be completely honest with you, Jesse, only because I respect the hell out of you. I hated the number 12 when I first heard it. Like I was like, what is this
People
shit?
do.
Yeah. And then I don't know what it was. I was like, this sucks. And then a week later, I was like, I'm going to listen to it again. And I'm like, this sucks. And then I kept coming back over and over again. And then eventually I was like, I don't know why. It's like my body wanted it to make sense when my mind was like, no, we don't like this. And then eventually when it did make sense, I was like, oh, it's over. This is my entire life now. Like, I'm just going to be listening to this band until they just completely stop or someone deletes all their shit off the internet. So, and dude, still obsessed, still can go through the whole catalog and just find something new to enjoy and like latch onto. And, both as an adult and as a teenager, and like with your lyrics, like that kind of canvas you've given people who listen, like the ability to like kind of imagine themselves in a specific way in them while like all this like crazy dissonant stuff is happening in the background, or like the more melodic, like groovy, like moody stuff that's happening too. It really like kind of has this like kind of surreal and fantastical quality sometimes with your writing, but then you also have like this really like stark reality that you paint as well. And then sometimes it just feels like magical realism. I don't know. So like I really wanted to kind of get more into like what's your headspace like while writing, like what kind of the process looks like.
But you said all the keywords that are exactly everything we want, because that's all we strive to do. Is every keyword you said: fantastical, thought-provoking, magical. That's harsh realities into this sort of euphoric other dimension, and back into something more aggressive. It's sort of it's a human body. That's what number 12 is. It's a human body. And I think people who have a human body who are alive in this world, I think it goes through every sort of feeling and emotion. And that's why number 12 net is, I know it's not a very popular sound. We don't really care. It's just something that we feel like we all experience in our band as a human being, that we're navigating through life. Every riff, every vocal, every segment of a part, every big epic ending, every big melodic intro, it's all just an emotional state that we've all experienced personally. And when Alex will present an idea, Alex the guitarist, he'll present an idea, and if it's sort of like hitting, you're feeling something's like, oh my God, this feels, it's almost like he sparks these sort of emotional chords where sort of feel it, and you're just like, oh, this is pulling me back to a moment in time when I was here, where I was so confused, and then all of a sudden words just start pouring out, and then an idea sort of just becomes its own. An idea just starts happening. There's words that start coming. So it always sort of starts like that, where it'll either start. It's always the spark is always something that we're just so personally connected to. Jaywalking Backwards, one of our songs on Mongo. That one was I was driving home from practice. No, it wasn't practice. I was driving home from somewhere, but I was driving down the street and some person was hit by a car, and I must have just missed it. But the person who hit them was on the street trying to help them, while the other person was like homeless person was just, I don't know, dead with like on the street. And I immediately swerved, stopped my car to stop incoming traffic because it must have just happened. And then she's like telling me the whole story as she's like freaking out. And then I see another person who's calling the 911. My car's blocking traffic, and I'm sitting there so just looking at this person. I'm like kind of scared to go look. And as she's telling me all these things, all these words just kept, sticking with me, like jaywalking. I think he went backward, and then she was telling me the whole story, and just this whole thing, just like it was like just she painted this picture of just like as if I watched the whole thing happen. And then I was imagining how sorry I felt for both of them, including the person who obviously got hit, because it was just a big mistake. It was just a big accident, and she was and I just felt horrible. But I eventually, ambulance came, everything, and I eventually went back home. But I'll always remember I saw our drummer at the time, John Carroll. I walked in because we were living together. I was like, dude, I just saw the craziest thing. And my neighbor who was in our apartment, I was like, hey, can I go to your room? I know you guys are hanging. Can I go to your room? I have to write something. And I grabbed my pad and I wrote the lyrics straight through the whole song right then. And I sent it to Alex and I'm like, hey, I just something crazy just happened, but here's some lyrics and see if you have any ideas. And then he wrote jaywalking with the music. And so that was jaywalking. So it's just like it'll go into stuff like that where it's just like he'll see some lyrics, he'll write a part, and then I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I love that. And it was a song, and it was just this, and then I was like, explode when it comes in. Okay, I think I have some lyrics. It's called Devil's Dick Disaster, and so it's this whole thing. It's talking about this like drug-induced sort of thing, and so we just go, and we're just like, it's like you're high on drugs when we start going. It's like you get the hit. And I've never done drugs. I've been straight my whole life, but like I imagine what it's like when you do drugs. It's like you get hit and the spark happens, and then just everything starts going through the body. And like you just start going and going. It just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And that's why like we number 12 sound always just sort of went in like it was like I always describe it as fireworks that didn't really have a specific direction. It just exploded. And so you don't really know where it's going. It just goes in every direction. And then so that's sort of our approach to writing.
Damn, that's fucking insane. What an insane story. Holy shit. That's awesome. And no, I'm sure Rob can attest to this. I mean, I don't know. Actually, Rob, you don't have to attest to this. I've done drugs, and yeah, that's it. Get that Devil's Dick Disaster for sure. I was like,
Me? No, I've never.
no. Yeah, that was sorry.
No,
Famously
yeah.
straight edge Rob.
That's me drinking vodka.
That's
not even
what
2
they
p.m.
call him over there in his scene. They call him straight edge Rob.
Straight edge Rob.
No,
But yeah, it was that's like something, we got to the point with Devil's Dick where it was like the song felt like this emotional, almost like drug-induced journey. So I had reached out to a really, really good friend of mine at the time. His name is Jay Springman. He plays in the band Sawtooth Grin. And I had reached out to him being like, hey, dude, like we just wrote this song. I know you've been going through some struggle with drugs, but I know he's always trying to clean himself up. So I was like, do you want to help me write this song? And so he just wrote on a piece of paper straight through every emotion that he went through of what he goes through when he's fiending. And he's needing drugs, but then what he goes through when he's clean. And I sort of cleaned it up, and then that was it.
That's incredible. And that song, I mean, because it starts off too, like the where when you were humming, like it has almost a call and response instrumentally, and then you guys have a call and response that matches that. Like, did you find like in when because I did want to ask like that transition from going and having like kind of like a partner vocalist on stage, like how was it like kind of readjusting your writing process to being like the sole kind of vocal effort almost?
It was hard, it's of course it was fucking, we had how many albums with two vocalists, so imagine trying to pick up the slack, running across back and forth on stage screaming, and then you're like, oh wait, I have to do these other singers parts as well. So
Yeah.
it was fucking hard. And I love Justin to this day. One of my greatest of all time friends. I love him so much, and we just, we left a bit. We sort of split a bit awkwardly, but we're just so close and we're connected for life. We're brothers at this point, and going forward was never like, it was weird. The duality of both of us, we're able to create a new layer of vocals to this inner demon that I talk about so much with number 12 across so many albums. I mean, on the last album, Wild Guys, was probably the most in your face with Ease My Siamese, which is just you have two people inside of you at all times, and it's like that's where everything comes from. It's if we were one person, then I think we would that person would just sort of live quite a boring, mundane life. But I think the majority of people in life have two beings in them, and it's what pulls them in both directions. Whenever you can't make a decision, that's two of yourselves. So that's how we were able to make that quite a literal thing in our music. Justin and me, Justin doing a lot of the singing and then screaming. I did all the growling and then all the screaming. We both did the screams, but then we both did our own sort of singing or growling. It was his thing would be more of this emotional connection to an angelic moment. Mine was just like, okay, it's time to like literally rip spinal cords out of people's bodies. And so it was like
some Mortal Kombat shit.
It was very much this two-sided thing. So merging that into one has been interesting. But it's been 8 years now since we got back together, 2016. God damn, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Hey, that's math.
I mean, time moves like that.
Yeah, it does that, doesn't it?
But it's honestly just been more fun because now we're just sort of I feel like we sort of skated a little bit out of the experimental because we were so connected to the word experimental in genre, and I feel like we've slowly skated away from that, where it's becoming a little bit more quote unquote digestible to people. So it's still not 12, but like I think it's just a bit more, it's just not as chaotic, because when you have two people screaming at the top of their lungs, one screaming, one growling at the same time, it's a lot. I get it. Like I fucking get it. So I think like it's sort of forced us into this corner of like, okay, let's make something a bit easier.
Yeah, right. As you said, digestible. Yeah, which brings me to my next question, because like you guys were gone for a little bit of time. Like I actually tried to fly out to your last show. I couldn't secure the funds your last show, unfortunately. Couldn't secure the funds, but and then you come back and like because I have a lot of friends who also they don't go to shows. Like me and Rob are still pretty heavily involved in the scene, and like I have friends who've gone out. As soon as you guys came back, I knew exactly who I could text, and they all were like fucking losing it. So it was one of those things where and then you announced the new album, like we were all so psyched, and it was awesome. Like Wild Gods is incredible. Like as you said, as a digestible music piece that still sounds insane. Like I was curious about how it felt to come back to that process after gone away, developed your career, like you've grown a ton, like you're a different person basically when you came back to this music in a number of ways, while also I'm sure being the same. So I was wondering how that felt to kind of move back into like writing mode, like recreating the vision of the number 12 that you had at that point in time.
Yeah. Well, I think like you can't the thing I say all the time, you cannot rewrite nostalgia. And it's just a fact. Number 12 can't rewrite Put On Your Rosy Red Glasses just as much as I don't know, I can't think of
Converge couldn't rewrite J Doe.
Sure, exactly. So even like for me, with Thursday and Waiting, the album, it's like you can't rewrite nostalgia. And so I think a lot of people who are on both sides, audience people are like, oh man, they didn't put out an album that was like rosy red or whatever. I don't really know what to say about any of that, because it's not so, at that point, it's not even so much about the music. It's about the space of time it's about the time period where you were in while you listened to Rosy Red. So it's like, that's what it is. It's more of how it brings you back to a certain place in your own life. And the music was a soundtrack for that. So we'll never be able to write something like that again, because that was then. And so for us coming back into number 12, we had zero, just like the same thing when we started the band. It's like me and Alex writing the music. It's the same thing. It was like you go into it and you just want to have fun, that you just want to write stuff that you find hits you a certain way. And when you're 16 years old, you 16, you 16, we all had something that hit us when we were 16 years old, that hit us a certain way, and fast forward to now, we all have another thing that hits us a certain way that in another 20 years, you're going to remember this time. It's like, man, I remember when this song hit me a certain way at that time. Oh man, I was doing the podcast, I was doing this. And it's like, we all are always going to be able to connect to something that was a soundtrack to our lives at that moment. So I can't ever say that we're going to write something that people are going to fall in love with right away, because people fucking hated Rosie Red. Like, I swear to God, we were like, everyone hates this album. And one of my best friends, Ben Wyman, when he put out, Dillinger's, when they wrote Calculating Infinity, is like, we spoke about that too. He was like, we were the most hated band in the world. And we were just talking about this like a couple months ago. It's just like how, and because, they came back with their reunion shows. It's like, it's so cool to get it what feels like we're getting what we deserve, because we were the most hated band then. And it's the same thing. It's like, we were so hated on. It was just absurd how much we got ripped apart. And so I feel like now it's just like nothing's really that different. It's like, sure, we've established ourselves as a band that's been around for over 2 decades, and we've done this scene. We're veterans in that regard. But like, writing this new material, there's no real influence on what the world is saying about number 12, as much as where we are at in our lives, just like where we were at in our lives when we were 16 years old. It's
Right.
we were being influenced 16 years on this planet, and we were just getting hit by life, and then something came out of that. Now here we are 40 years old, or whatever it was with Wild Gods, 35 years old. We were just getting influenced, and we were just different people. So we were getting hit with different sort of things, and then what came out was Wild Gods. So it's sort of like the world tells our bodies what to put out there, and whether people are into it or not is sort of like neither here nor there. It's more, this is like our way of expressing. It's kind of like therapy. Like it's our way of putting something out into the world that people say is like, oh, you gotta let it out, you gotta vent out. And we may not be the best people at venting it out, but we vent it out through music. And that's what number 12 always was to us. As much as we, found touring miserable, it was so hard to play this kind of music every night and balance adulthood. And it was just so hard, in 2009 when we broke up, it was just so hard because life was happening. All of our friends were doing all these fun activities, and people were traveling. We missed birthdays. We missed people dying. We missed so much, and we resented so much of number 12 because of that, And so here we are in our fucking 40s now, and it's just like, it's the same thing. The number 12 is still this way of therapy session that if people want to come and listen to our therapy session, hell yeah, cool. Come and let it out with us. Like, you can connect with it too. And I think that, us being a little bit older, it's not to say that we don't have any problems anymore. It's just that we have new problems. And I think we may have things that are really good in our lives, but we also have things that we're still trying to figure out in our lives. So I think moving forward with Wild Gods and stuff like that, it's still that same thing. It's still sort of like, I guess I'll use Ease My Siamese as that example. It was just that man, number 12 was this kind of person, but I now see myself as this kind of person. So what do I do with that person? Do I let it go? Do I kill it? Because it feels like it died a while ago. So I'm just dragging my corpse conjoined twin with me along in life, and it's very heavy. So it's almost like the adult emo.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely tracks. And I mean, given the evolution of the band, I think that instinct to not be responsive to anyone, or responsible, or what's the word I'm looking for? Beholden, I guess, to anyone other than your art and what you make has worked pretty well, in my opinion. So, it's been, I think, Wild Gods, I think, is about to turn 5. I'm pretty sure. So, congrats, happy birthday, happy soon birthday to Wild
Thank
Gods.
you.
So it's been a few years, and the band's been touring and like playing and stuff. And we always want to put the vibe out and just be like, how's it looking for like new material or anything? Everyone wants more number 12.
I mean, if you say so. That would be great. I we've been writing, but I will say it's been this has probably been whatever it is that we're writing, whatever it turns out to be. I would say it's probably been in the number 12 lifespan has been probably one of the hardest things to figure out what to write. Because I think I guess the best way to put it is you start this thing when you were a teenager. So you're wearing these sort of teenage clothes and you have a certain expectation when you're putting on those teenage clothes. And now you're 40 years old and there's a certain expectation, but you might have grown out of those clothes. So what do?
Right.
So you may not have the same feelings. You may not even be into the same style outfits. You might have grown up and wear Carhartt clothes and a hip beanie. So it's been quite an emotional journey. I keep saying emotional, but it's the truth. I think everything in my life is quite formulaic and very business savvy, but like number 12 is my emotional, very vulnerable side when I put it out there. And so writing these new songs has been so hard in a lot of ways. Trying to discover who we are now. It's like almost a reimagination of like looking in the mirror. It's like, what is number 12? And is this even number 12? Because it's where we want to go is so what we think might be so different for people. But to some, it's like, oh no, that's still number 12. Yeah, you guys are, I was showing some of the demos to Ben Wyman from Dillinger. And I was showing him, I was like, I don't know, it might be a little different. And he was like, dude, this might be some of the best number 12 I've ever heard. And I was like, yeah, you're my friend. All right, whatever, man. Well, and so it's exciting in that way because he was the one who sort of said it to me when I was a bit nervous. He's like, you got to think about it like this. He's like, number 12 is known to be that unpredictable band. You're just never going to know what to expect. And for that reason alone, people are not going to expect this. And that's it. That's number 12. And so I was like, damn, how did you know that? And I didn't. But sometimes you have to take a step back and look at it, from the eagle eye view and have a great friend like him who took us on our first tour as a band, Dillinger, and seen us grow up and sort of be like, I've been watching and I know where you're going and I know what you're doing. And so it was just, so now it's went from sort of like a bit of this emotional journey and a little scared to now just fully embracing and being like, damn, I think this is going to be pretty fun. And nonetheless, it's going to make people talk, whether it's good or bad. Well, whatever. We're having a fucking blast writing it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean,
Yeah.
and you guys were already hated when you made an album. Like, let's
Dude,
start the cycle over.
Dude, I said this. I didn't say this exactly, but I said the same thing. I said it to my family because they were like, I played it for my family. I'm like, hey guys, my family, my brother, my two brothers, my two sisters, my mom. I played it for them as I've done for the last 23 years, playing every number 12 thing because it's exciting, like my
Yeah.
family is like, hey, look at this, and everyone was like, yep, still crazy, and like.
I was gonna say, are they fans or they're just like very good and just kind of clap for you?
No. They would never listen to it. But they it was more of just like because like I mean it's my literal family, so it's just like
Yeah.
they're always going to support it and they're always going to find it hilarious seeing their brother screaming like that on stage and just going absolutely apeshit. But it was funny to play them a new song, and my mom was like, "Who is this?" I was like, "Mom, it's me." And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you mean, Ma? It's me. And she's like, this is who? Whose band? What? I was like, Ma, this is number 12, the same band I've been in, the only band I've been in my whole life. It's us. She's like, wow. And that was cool because it's a reaction I've never gotten.
Mhm.
So for whatever that's worth, all the moms out there, be ready.
I mean, subverting mom expectations is huge.
Right? Dude, if it's not for the number 12 fans, it seems like it could be for some moms.
There you go. Number 12's for the moms now. That's
Right.
sick.
I was gonna,
That would be a great t-shirt. You know what? No, forget that actually.
The number 12 looks like it's mom music. Yeah, that's good.
Mom Core,
Music,
the new
music
album.
for moms. The number 12
Music
looks
for
like.
mom. That's
Way,
good.
dude.
That's good.
So I mean, we discussed like both sides of your career. I wanted to kind of go back a little bit towards you know, like your film and photography and all that. First of all, we wanted to formally congratulate you on your directorial debut.
Oh, thank you.
That is
Absolutely.
incredible, like, and must be insanely exciting. You know, you don't have to tell anything. We can cut this. But do you want to tell us like a little bit about the movie? You don't have to share the movie, or just like how it felt and how it was like getting to really get behind the camera like that.
Yeah, no, I can talk about a small amount for sure. Yeah, the company that I've been with, the company that I owe everything to, Yale Productions, is they've been we've been going at it for maybe 8 to 10 years, something like that, where I'm a creative producer and Jordan Levine, who is just one of my oldest best friends, he was just him and Jordan Beckerman, they had both just been so supportive of my creative endeavors. And you know, it's like I can go on and on about how like lucky I am to be in the film industry or whatever, but you know, it's very rare to have partners who still support a creative person while employing them, and it's it's like I'm just so indebted to them because they not only support all my creative endeavors, directing all these music videos, because you know I've direct a lot of music videos. They support all my photography, all the photo shoots, all the posters I photograph, all the number 12 related things. But then furthermore, supporting the fact that they want me to direct a movie. And so this was all them. This was them being like, hey, we want you to be behind the camera in a bigger way. And they sort of pushed this thing through to have me direct my first movie. And they put me on board for this slate of movies with this producer, Joe Swanberg, who's a huge prolific name in horror.
Man.
His IMDb name, and motherfucker is an absolute beast. So we did productions. We did 5 movies, and it's crazy. Like it's a new model, and I'm just it's crazy that I'm part of the whole thing because it's like I'm movie number 5. So we've already released all 5 movies already. We've already done them, but I came on board, so they're all 5 horror movies. I've got incredible slate mates. That's what we're calling each other. We're calling each other.
Oh,
we've
cool.
also had some. We've also had some people who are connected to the music scene in this movie. So the first one called Eldorado. The director is married to the guy from Touche Amore, I believe.
Oh, that's nuts.
And then the 4th film, Jay Matthews, she is a singer for a band called Boy Harsher. So we're all we're all in this music scene together, and it's just and then they're like, hey, we heard you're in a band. I'm like, I'm in a different spectrum, guys. I'm like,
I'm over here.
I'm like, it's like number 2 looks to you. We don't have to talk about it. So it's just funny because like when I got to set and it's such a small crew, there's people who are like, dude, and that's sort of how I found it is like every time I'm on a movie, it's like, dude, number 12, and I'm like, it's like it's really cool to see how many people from the scene transitioned into the film world too.
Yeah.
So being able to direct a movie with all this experience, so everything that we just spoke about, wrapped up in this package, a 40-year package, and being able to, and I didn't make this up, but like, how many days do you think they gave me to make this movie? 12 days. So it
12
was,
days? I was gonna say 15, but that's fucked still.
12 days. So I 12 days to make the movie, 12-hour days, 12 full days. And it's just all these synergies, a crazy simulation making this all work. And I could not have had a more fucking unreal experience ever. It was, I'm making this movie about this modern day possession exorcism
Ooh.
movie that is, all these other horror movies are very unique, very, very avant-garde, very cool, super, super cool horror movies, whereas mine is more of a commercial, down the middle possession exorcism movie. And it's a modern day version of it, modern day version of a couple who inherit a house and they move to a place and they I guess I can't talk too much about it, but
Right. Okay.
they experience possession.
Oh
In
shit.
some shape or form. I don't know how much I've already put out there, but I basically it's a modern day possession exorcism story. And so it's been so fun to just take all my skill sets with number 12, whether it's like doing our music video for Ruin the Smile, or this like little demon kid with a mask chasing a priest around the church and beating them into submission, and taking the experience I've had working on horror movies, Separation, and these other films. It's like I really got to bring all these people together with the guidance of Jordan and Jordan at Yale and Joe Swanberg and everyone, to be like, we're going to surround you with the sickest, tightest team and just make it fucking scary. And it did help that I came off of working on Damien's Terrifier 3. So being surrounded by all of them and then coming into Yellow Eyes, which is what my movie is, everything just aligned so perfectly. So everything was so fresh, watching these masters make that, having all the experience with Yale and all the movies we produced. And then I get to direct this movie, and it's just wild, man. It's crazy. I still kind of feel like it's not real. I'm just living this dream of I mean, when you get to make this kind of art for a living, and you see that people appreciate it and they want it, and in a way pay you to keep making it, you just don't really feel like you're just like, I hope I just never wake up. This
Yeah.
so
I
don't know.
mean,
I've been on cloud nine for a while.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Rob and I were talking about it when we saw your post about like the directorial thing, and we're like, fuck, and he's doing that too now. Because I think Rob, you said that Rob told me that you had like a studio. I think Rob, what was it? So I'm sorry.
I'm in my
Napalm
studio.
Rainbow. Yes, wanted to
Napalm
say
Rainbow.
congrats on the new
Hey.
studio.
Thank you. Yeah, Napalm Rainbow. It's so Napalm Rainbow is the music production company that I have with Jimmy from my buddy Jimmy from Laser Labs. So we have a company together, Napalm Rainbow. This is the studio, Napalm Rainbow, where I have, and so all the music videos I direct, everything for the Armor for Sleep, Hot Water Music, Bounce of Souls, all of them. I mean, everything is under the Napalm Rainbow umbrella, and it's been, and that's sort of, and I call that my weekend hobby, and everyone's like, no, hobby needs to be something that is not work. And then,
Yeah.
and I'm can't say it enough. It's like when I know it's so cliche. It's like one of those like memes that you read that's like namaste, but it's when you love what you're doing for work, you never have to work a day in your life. But it's so true. It's not a hobby to me. I love prepping and getting ready to produce, another Hot Water Music video with Jimmy. We're sitting there, we're brainstorming. I'm like, oh man, then let's go into this. And he's like, oh yeah, and let's go into this. And we're constantly trying to up ourselves, like we're constantly trying to re-innovate what music videos are, and or just make them more interesting, and work with Ecovision and sort of find all these new sort of bands to work with. So to me, this room that I'm in, it's my creative. It's all mine. It's like I can just do whatever I want, let all my thoughts just run free. I can sit here and just close this curtain, and I can write lyrics for number 12 for a new song, because I'm like, oh, I remember this thing and I just go crazy. And then I'll sit here and I'll send it to Alex and he'll send me music and I'm sitting here writing lyrics. And then I'll shift into, you know, a new script that I'm working on, or I'll shift into a film that we're producing, or I'll shift into, hey, I want to come by and do some new photos. Okay, come by the studio or shoot a music video in here. So it's just constant circle of like creation and art and creation, art, giving and receiving, the recycle, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of your photography, you were saying earlier you don't get starstruck often, but you recently photographed Ice-T. Were you starstruck a little bit then? Or?
Yeah, that's nuts.
I saw that and I was like, what the fuck?
That was I when I say starstruck, where to me starstruck means you're at a loss of words. You're just staring. I don't know what to say, but I'm always appreciating everybody who I meet, like Ice-T pulling into this parking lot in this crazy car and being like, and he's calling me, be like, hey man, I'm here. And I was like, all right, Ice-T, I'll be there. It's just bonkers, you know? And it's like he's coming into my little studio that I feel like is sort of a corner in my brain that's very private. And where just he's telling me stories about him growing up in the world that he grew up in and winning Grammys and then traveling with Body Count in the 90s and here in my space. And then we'll take a break and he's like, you guys want to listen to a new album? I'm like, yeah, I do. So like,
100%.
Of course, yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's do it. It's cool when stuff like that happens where you see two worlds collide. And that to me is where it's just like, damn, life is cool, man. You know, that's cool.
If we can switch back to your other hat with the music, after such a long time with the number 12, is there a specific moment or memory that stands out to you as one of your favorites, either on tour or performing or anything like that with the band's a special moment?
You know, I know there's probably better moments, but the one that's just coming to me right now, only because I remember this memory somewhat recently talking about someone said Corona, California, and then the memory came back to me again. And it was a first, it must have been, I don't know, like 2003, something like that. And number 12 did our first tour in to the West Coast. And we went to California. So it was my first time as a human going to California. Obviously, number 12's first time playing California. And we're Screamo, Jersey kids from Bergen County, where we've been shit on, we've been hated on. We just assume no one will ever really like us. But the tour was going pretty good for our first time playing out of the tri-state area and going to Arizona and Texas and everything like that. But when you're at the furthest point in America, you're at your furthest point, you're just like, okay, like I don't really, you don't really care. You're just on tour and you're living this like life that is just crazy. You're just a high on life. But I'll never forget. We pulled into the parking lot. We're playing a place called the Showcase Theater. We pulled into the parking lot, and it was our headlining show. And so we pull in, and we're looking, and we're seeing this. We're looking at all these people lined up, and we're like, whoa, like who's playing? Because we just assumed that there was another venue next to us. Like, whoa, who's playing over there? We're like, whoa, do you guys see who's playing? But I'm like, we're trying to figure out who the big band is that created this line in this strip mall, just whoosh, all around. Whoa, who's playing over here? Because we're trying to find the venue that we're playing, and we find the parking, and we see, and the promoter calls us, like, yeah, just come to this door, and we get to the door, and we're looking, we're like, who are all these people here for? They're like, this is for you. And it was like hours before we were gonna play. Hours. And these people were all there for us. And I just remember we all, just this feeling of like chills came over all of us. Cause and I just remember we sort of looked at each other. We all just didn't really have words. We just smiled. And we're just like, Like it was just that it was just like what, and the show was sold out. First show ever in California, sold out.
Holy shit.
It was just there's no you'll never forget that. You'll never forget a feeling like hundreds of people showing up to a show hours before doors and everyone just staring at you. And we're staring at them and we're just like, hey. And yeah, that's there's been a lot of great memories. One's probably as good as that, but yeah, that one just that one really stuck out to me.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's an incredible memory. And like, California loves its heavy music. It really does, especially Southern California. Sorry, Rob. We almost went the whole episode.
Elias is from California, so I know how excited
Southern
you got when you said
And
Elias. I
Corona
know how
is like,
excited you got.
I used to go to Corona and I actually remember the showcase. I never got to go there. It's unfortunately been closed for a while, but
Yeah,
yeah,
close to a lot, but first place we ever played in California.
that's fucking awesome.
So
Oh,
with
yeah.
the potential of maybe some new material and maybe some new shows and such, is there a band you guys haven't played with yet that you'd love to share the stage with? In hypothetical, realistic or unrealistic, could be whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, like if
Air
you wanted to play
quotes.
with Bjork,
Well,
or
why are we
Yeah,
throwing
yeah.
Bjork out as the example?
because
Why is
Bjork
Bjork?
is like a lot of artists love Bjork. I don't know if Jesse does, but like that's like the thing. It gives a scale. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
You know, I really I it's hard to say because like anything that I would want to do playing shows with other people, we would just never. I just don't know if we'd ever live in the same sort of stratosphere together, you know. Possibly. I mean, I do love. I really love the band Health a lot,
Oh,
and I feel like they're just so good and so unique. And their show I went to in Brooklyn recently was just bananas. Like, oh my God. And so, yeah, I'd love to do something with them. Even like I mean, obviously like a Nine Inch Nails, but even like a System of a Down, you know, I'd love to sort of
Oh yeah.
revisit some of the earliest things that I remember, Corn and Limp Bizkit, and sort of take it back to where it all began. And I think I think the people I think at this point it's like people who want to see number 12, they'll know us, they'll find a way to see us, and they yeah, I don't think I think it maybe this new material that we're writing might open up doors to a different realm of people in a space of call it a Mars Volta thrice sort of realm of
oh,
fans, you know, maybe it'll open up
okay.
into that space. Not saying it will, but like if it does, it'd be cool to do tours with bands like that, you know, because we've all always listened to bands like that. Um, and yeah, I think yeah, I don't know. At this point, I don't. It's I do love music so much, but when I think of touring, when I think of movies, and I think of everything I do, I think of experience, and I think of what could offer a new experience. And I think with shows and tours and everything, when you go to a show, you know what to expect. It's X amount of bands, X amount of music. But to me, my mind is always thinking about, even since back then, it's always trying to go the other direction where everyone else is not going. So I almost feel like I'd love to tour more with like kind of the circus. I'd love to do like sideshows and bring out sideshow performers, people who do, because you know I'm very close with the Coney Island sideshow performers, and they're the oldest sideshow in kind of history, I think, or at least in America, over 100 years old. And I and it's still this Coney Island sideshow is still paid for by the state of New York. And so those performers are keeping this art form alive. And that's what I always described number 12 was like. We were always these sideshow freaks. I mean, we opened Wild Gods with me being the ringleader. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, and I'm playing the sort of ringleader to this bizarre sideshow. And it's how we always felt like we were just a sideshow. And we always felt that way. And I have my whole back piece is a sword swallower. It's like we always felt like we're in that sort of world. So it would be cool if we ever got into the space of, because I've done a couple of music videos now where I've even put some of those sideshow performers in my music videos. I put one in Armor for Sleep's video, New Rainbows. I have a performer there. I have the Hail the Sun music video where I have a lot of the Coney Island performers, people who drills into their nose and swallow swords and blow fire. So I feel like number 12, it would be cool to sort of explore what it's like doing tours with non-music related acts.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
was
sick.
I was thinking of that while you were talking. I was thinking that so there's a slight chance that there might be sword swallowers and people spitting fire while number 12 is playing, and then you just mentioned it, and I was like, oh fuck. There goes my question.
Yeah, that was
Possible chance.
possible chance. I mean, you never know. It's more like I guess, yeah, just trying to give people give people a bigger experience. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, I love theatrics. I'm a total sucker for that kind of stuff. So I think the idea of merging any form of theatricality, like a sideshow or like a play or anything like that, into music is always a fucking cool idea. So
I am kicking around some ideas that are so out there that I don't know how it's going to go over, which involves sort of theater play. So
okay.
I just have this idea. I don't know. It's like I
Hmm.
can't talk too much about it because I feel like I still have to pitch my band on it and then I have to pitch promoters on it. But
Of
like it
course.
does involve bringing actors and performers on the road and incorporating almost a off Broadway style show with number 12 and
Oh,
not
man.
not
Holy shit.
necessarily about number 12, but almost like you're going and you're having an experience of a story as opposed to just what we all are so familiar with, which is opening band, next band, local band, supporting band, headline band. It's
Yeah.
like I love that and I appreciate that, and that's always going to be what it's going to be. But I just feel like to get people to spend money to come and be entertained outside of the usual entertainment that they have, I feel like you need to offer more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, damn. I hope you can pull it off, whatever it is. I mean, I know that she's kind of had a fall from grace, but I actually think about I think one of Amanda Palmer's first solo tours. Like she had a whole thing with these artists, unfortunately, but she had like a dance troupe or like a physical contortionist troupe go with her. And
Yeah,
like they like toured with her and they would perform like improv during her set, like not super coordinated, but like they would perform with her during her set. And I always thought that was such a cool fucking idea to have like a different type of art form be performed like
mhm,
while music is playing.
exactly. So, well, I do think that there's a world where a future headlining tour when we get there, that I think that's where we're leaning towards.
Hell yeah.
We were discussing earlier on the topic of nostalgia and how you can't recreate it, you can't repackage it. But since the COVID pandemic, there's been so many bands that have done reunions. I'm curious if there's still a band you'd like to see a reunion that hasn't happened yet.
Hmm. The one band I really wanted to do a reunion just announced they are doing a reunion. And I'm going to see them this month, this day forward.
Nice.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
like one of my all-time absolute favorites. So if they didn't announce that just recently, it would have been them for sure.
That's fucking
That's a good
sick.
answer. It seems like everyone's doing a reunion that wants to be or needs to be. It's a good time to do it.
I think it's a
Yeah.
good time to do it. You know, it's look, we're not getting any younger, so get to it. Let's go.
Yeah. Get the mileage while you still can, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what me and Alex keep saying. We're like trying to do what we do at like 60 years old. It's just I can't like I
That's
can't.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to gracefully transition out at some point. If you don't feel like you want to or can keep doing it, you gotta pick an endpoint, you know?
Yeah.
So, right just before we wrap, got a couple questions left. I usually like to ask a couple stupid questions that are completely unrelated to music and try to see what kind of answers I get because I love hearing the stories here. What is the most illegal or dangerous thing that you've ever done in your life that you're willing to put on a very public podcast?
The most illegal
Or dangerous? Whatever's safer to put on a podcast.
Something that I have done or something
Yeah.
that I have experienced?
Hmm. That's a
There you
new.
go.
I was gonna say that's new.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Because I like, I've honestly, I'm like, I would definitely brag if I was like a super bad boy. And I'd be like, "Oh," but I would say I've had more dangerous experiences happening to me than I've done that was like the most illegal thing that I did was I brought brass knuckles on a plane. Like
Hmm.
I got arrested. Who fucking cares? Uh,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
like,
Fair enough.
but like the most dangerous situations that I've been in is, one is I almost died on a mountaintop in Bolivia when we were shooting for a History Channel show called Ice Road Truckers.
Holy
And
fuck.
Great show. Great show. Sorry to
So
interrupt you.
yeah. So it was Ice Road Truckers, World's Deadliest Roads, and I almost died twice, legitimately. Probably more once. The other one, who knows? Probably pretty good chance. But the first one was we were shooting the World's Deadliest Roads episode, and we're literally on Ruta de la Muerte, which is the road of death, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a road along the side of a crazy, crazy mountain, and the road is made of dirt, and it just drops. So when I tell you, you have no more than sometimes 10 to 12 feet. You to the width of, you can't even put two cars side by side. That's too wide. And we're going through this road literally, and I have videos to show how close we have to drive to the edge of this mountain, looking straight down. We're in the clouds. That's how high we are. We're literally in the clouds. We're going through this thing, whipping around these fucking corners, and me and the photographer Joey, we're just constantly begging the driver to please slow down, and we're literally just gripping everything, and we're almost having our eyes closed the whole time. It's just because it's a two-way road. So if you hit another car who comes at you, one of you has to back up until there's a little bit more space to then get out. So, and that's happened. So literally, I have videos of us, like, I'm not kidding, maybe like 3 feet from our tire to the mountain drop. Not even a decline. I mean a legit drop. Like, and you can see trucks that have fallen down there and just people who have died. It's the death. So like literally the scariest thing I think I've ever. I don't know if I'll ever experience anything scarier than that. Because it's a long, miles long road, and it doesn't stop. So you literally have your heart racing for so long. And then where I actually almost died was when we were at 17,000 feet above sea level, so cruising altitude for planes. We're shooting at the top of this mountain, one of the truck drivers, and anywhere you go in Bolivia, if you're not used to it, you have to have oxygen tanks for altitude sickness. Otherwise you will. Altitude sickness is very real, no matter what anyone tells you.
Yeah.
Our challenge about altitude sickness, do not take it lightly. It is such a real thing. So we go up to the top of this mountain. I'm already so fucking sick every day from the altitude. We go up to this mountain. We have all the oxygen tanks with us. We go up to the mountain. I'm holding the light. We're shooting the person. I'm standing there trying to hold on to this light stand to keep my balance. And I was like, oh man. And I'm like just trying to catch my breath. It's almost like you just feel like you can't catch your breath. And the truck driver, one of the actors in the show, he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "You okay?" I was like, "Guys, I need to get some oxygen." Yeah, we have some oxygen in the tanks. So they help me walk over to the tanks. I go put the oxygen on my mask, and they're all talking Spanish, and I'm like, "What's going on?" They're like, "We're all out of oxygen." And I was like, what do you mean? I'm starting to have a little bit of anxiety. And they're all yelling. And then one of the producers like, they're like, well, where is it? Where is it? And I start having this full on panic attack. So I start sweating. It's freezing up there. My body just starts sweating.
Oh no.
The actor from the show, he brings me into the Joey, the photographer's like, he like helps me walk in. The one truck driver, he's like, it's okay. He's like, you just look, sit down here. Just sit down. You're all good. It's all good. Just here, listen, just breathe. And I'm sitting there. My heart is beating out of my chest and I can't catch my breath. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. Oh my God. And eventually I pass out. So I black out. I wake up and I'm in a room and I have like tubes up my nose. I've got stuff on my fingers. And I wake up and I'm just like, it's like, oh my God, what's going on? And they were reading my blood pressure. They're like, you almost had a stroke.
Holy shit.
Oh, fuck that.
You didn't have enough oxygen going to your brain. And so they had to rush and speed rush me down the mountain to get me to the paramedic. And so I almost died at the top of the mountain in Bolivia.
Who knows, if they were driving fast enough, you might have almost died on the way down too.
Oh shit.
right.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't sound like a safe route.
I'll just never forget. Like they were like, you just didn't have enough oxygen to your brain. And I just imagine being in like, it's the feeling of claustrophobia. That's the only way I can describe it. It's no matter where you are, as open as it is, you actually can't catch that breath. You know, like when you can't catch that breath and you keep gasping for it, it never happens. Imagine that's just what it is. And you never catch it. It's like,
oh my God, I'm getting anxiety right now.
yeah. And you're just like, and you can't, you like never catch it. And you're just eventually, you black out, everything fades to black. So yeah,
That's so insane. Holy shit. Wow.
That's-
We're glad you're all
I
right.
asked. I'm glad I asked, and I'm glad you're all right. That's
Yeah.
quite the story. Fuck that.
Damn. That might be probably one of the crazier stories we've ever had too, I think. I don't think.
For that answer, or for that question, yeah, wow.
Fuck.
it's a sad, but it's something I can laugh about now.
Yeah, right. Well, you
Thankfully.
survived and are thankfully in good health. So yeah, we can have a giggle about it now. So you're too strong. The mountain couldn't kill you, Jesse. Knock on wood.
Mountain couldn't kill me.
Mountain couldn't kill you.
It'll
Road of
be,
death. Ha.
yeah, it'll be something random where like a piece of like trash hits me in the head. Like,
Yeah. Right.
You die in such a pathetic way after
Yeah,
all that
I know, right?
heroic,
You got-
crazy.
like don't like bird shit gets in my eye that has an infection and it's just like, oh.
Yeah, it's like Giardia.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Jesse, you seem like a pretty nice guy, so I don't know how you're going to answer this question, but put yourself in the mentality, assuming that you're not a pacifist. If there was one person you could punch in the face as hard as you possibly can and have no repercussions for it, who would you punch and why? I love seeing people's faces when I ask this. They're like, what the fuck?
You know,
You're welcome to pass
I
on too.
Yeah,
I
some people
do
don't. Yeah.
it is true. I can't ever imagine myself like taking my own liberty to hit somebody. Although I am training for MMA and fighting, it's like that's what I'm doing. I am going to be punching people in the face, but all
Yeah.
with sportsmanship. I guess you know, I don't think that there would be I really don't think even people who I don't agree with, whether it's like a Trump or someone like, I would still never want to hurt them. You know, I just think that you'll always have a difference of opinion and things, and you'll hate people beyond belief for what it is, and you may have to disagree, but I would never want to like, it's not a right thing to do to, you know, to have an effect on someone else's life physically to hurt them. It's just, I think that it's like the ultimate bottom feeder, bottom of the barrel kind of person to do. You know, it's like hurting somebody that has no right or deserves anything. So, if there was a kind of person, I guess that maybe I could shift it to like a kind of person. It'd be people like that. It'd be people who are these like, there's all the. I feel like after the pandemic, there's a lot of kinds of people who grew some big balls, and those are the people who
yeah.
will
Yeah.
randomly attack people in the subway, random cutting,
Yeah.
throwing acid on faces, and there's a lot of that in New York City. My wife she was afraid of like even going to the city at some point where it's like true because you read a lot about this stuff in San Francisco. All this, I have friends who got like chased and with like a knife, and it's people like that. I would happily take a fist to. I wouldn't say there were one person. It would be a
Right.
kind.
Okay. No, that works.
Okay.
We've also
Yeah,
had the
you've-
personification question. So
You found your
Your
answer.
answer.
You started off saying like, I don't know, and then you're like, wait a second, these people probably.
yeah, this general idea, like we've had people say that they wanted to punch ideas too. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
That's true. It's a concept punch.
yeah. And then, also like, oh, I'd hit my bandmate as hard as I could. We get those sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may disagree with my bandmates, but it would all be out of love.
Yeah, never rock their shit.
A question that does go back to music. Um, if you don't believe in guilty pleasures, what do you listen to that could be considered cringeful or cringy, shameful, or a guilty pleasure, like a band that gets ripped on by a lot, or something we wouldn't expect that you listen to, like that?
Huh.
What did we find there, Elias?
I mean, it probably would have been Scott, to be honest.
No, that's super fair. Yeah.
Because like, even if it was like, even if it like, I feel like even country music, I don't listen to country, but there was a time where people would be, oh God, I can't believe you listen to country. Now country is the biggest thing in the entire world. Everyone listens to country, So I feel like there's no kind of genre of music that is like a guilty pleasure anymore because they've all sort of found their audience and they've all been very much embraced. But back then, I feel like guilty pleasures was so. I mean, I remember when Paramore was a guilty pleasure because it was like, oh man, punk, a girl singer or whatever. And it's just like, dude, you're just like sexist.
Yeah, it's the bikini kill thing again, dude. It's like so, like people would be like, "Oh, it's so gay to have a girl sing to you," and it's like, "What are you even talking?"
How does
about?
that make any?
It makes no
Where's
sense.
the logic on that one?
I don't know.
That's why
People,
I agree. I think it's people like that who I think coined the phrase guilty pleasures because it's just like there's something more going on underneath the surface where you just say, oh, that's such a guilty pleasure. Just like, dude, like we all like music is just I listen to every kind of music because I'm in every kind of mood very often. So that's it. If I was only listening to metal, it's just like I don't know what that says about me, but like to me, like I feel like I'm just so much more open-minded when I can truly, without any sort of like fear of like being made fun of, it's just like I never believed in the guilty pleasure sort of stuff. Because I was always open to what I listened to. I talked about how I would listen to R&B with Drew Hill and 112 and then hip hop, and then I moved into fucking Life is Peachy with Korn, and then I moved into Real Big Fish. Like I don't care. Like, and there was a time when just general pop punk, like Newfound Glory, was like super like, oh my god, you listen to pop punk. Oh my god, you listen to emo. Oh my god, and now there's like that new wave of that pop emo now with like band, like there's that like boy bandy sort of thing, and there's some stuff that's I'm like that's actually pretty catchy, but like who's really having the last laugh here? Is it them with their millions of fans, or is it the person who's making fun of those people saying, "Oh, I can't believe you listen to that,"
Yeah.
So I just feel like
Point.
I think guilty pleasure has sort of I think that's become an outdated term, which I respect. I respect that we've sort of, at least my own perspective, I feel like we've sort of all grown up to learn that there's no more guilty pleasures because no one's afraid anymore. I think that's sort of cool. People are a bit
Yeah.
fearless, also like embracing it. Like, yeah, I listen to this guy who just talks about suicide all the time, and he just does a bunch of drugs, but his music sounds like you just want to dance, and I love it, you know. So it's just like, wow, okay, cool. And so everyone just embraces it, and I think that that's cool.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
During Elias's research, we discovered you're a big Eric Nally fan, who I had never heard. So you actually put me onto that, and it's fantastic. So
Yeah,
it's like
I'd
music
explain
like
Foxy
that.
Shazam to Rob.
Yeah, it's music like that I didn't expect, right? Like not so much a guilty pleasure, but something you would listen to that wasn't expected, and that artist was definitely unexpected and fucking phenomenal. Been bumping
I
them all week.
That dude's so sick.
Yeah,
first band I ever managed, I was 20 years old when I had found Foxy. Just some dudes in Ohio, and that was the beginning of my life of working in music management, and had Foxy for like 13 years.
Yeah. Yeah, Foxy fucking rules.
Yeah, they still rule. I love
I believe that, like 100%.
I love
it's
those
been a
guys.
good week for finding them, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, you got to watch their early. I mean, they still rip for sure, and they're still wild, like with their live shows, I'm sure. But you got to watch some of their
Yeah.
early shows, like recorded shows, Rob. Like they were genuinely insane, like unhinged.
Genuinely
Uh,
insane.
so as we're kind of winding down a bit, we always like to ask these questions as well. Like if you could give like the world a gift of some kind, like what would it be and why? And for example, like some people have said like the gift of patience. Other people have like been like, oh, I want everyone to have an Xbox 360, like, things like that. So it could really be anything.
Um, I would give the gift of comfortable living for everyone because I feel like we all just, as I've gotten older, feel like everything behind everything is connected to wealth and making money and all of that. And then there's people who I just respect so much as artists that are having to stop their art because of financial troubles and living life. And then there's people who have so much money that are able to get to these extraordinary places, but it's just because they have money. Then there's people I've met around the world on all these crazy shoots that I've done around, everywhere from a lot the Arctic Circle in Alaska to fucking, the middle of this village in Sierra Leone, Africa. Like, I think the gift of comfortable living and living within your means so that people can just be human, and just do what it is that they feel like their body and their minds want to do in life, just to enjoy life before it's over. I think that would be my gift.
That's a pretty wonderful gift, and I'm definitely in agreement. I think when everyone has their basic needs met, like all of society moves forward exponentially.
Yeah, I mean, what is every problem? All there at the root of most of it can guarantee it's some sort of wealth hierarchy. So
Yeah. No,
we
of
were just
course.
on the same page and we just all live the same sort of thing. We can just all have fun and just
Yeah.
enjoy life, because I struggled financially for a long time in my life. And there was a long period of my time where I had no more than $50 in my account at any given point for so many years. And it wasn't until having some more financial income, just it's like, oh, that's all I needed to just finally become who I am, just so that I can like afford to live and afford to eat and afford to treat my friends who are also struggling. It's like, this is what makes me happy. What never made me happy was having to create art just so that we're like, okay, if we make this kind of album, we're gonna go on tour to bigger audiences, and this is what this might be what people really want. If we keep touring and make more money, it's like, and it like starts sort of like projecting what your art is going to be because you need to like make it about the money. That's when it just it was starting to get into that. I'm not saying we ever got there with number 12, but it was starting to look. It was like the foreshadowing of what was coming was where I was questioning like what we were doing in our late 20s. I'm like, uh-oh, I think we're starting to make this about money, guys. And and I couldn't blame them because I was too. It was just because you were getting older with more responsibilities and more bills. How else are you going to make money when the thing that is like putting you on the road is taking you away from a normal routine of making money? So it's like it was a bad imbalance. So that's why we had in the band in 2009.
Okay. Well, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, still, like, definitely a great gift to give everyone. So, we're kind of curious, like, what's like the next for the band specifically, like what is like the next kind of goal post feel like? Like, what's the next mile marker for you guys? Like you've done so much in your career and like with your sound, and it sounds like there's more evolution to come, whatever comes next. So like we are deeply curious, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too, like what the next big thing for you and the number 12 kind of looks like.
I think it's the discovery of the unknown. That was my intrigue from day one. Was wow, I scream in a band. That's pretty cool. And it was shit. I wonder how people are going to react to this live. And then it's like shit. Wonder what's going to be like when we play around the world. And then it's like shit. I wonder what it would be like if we made a music video. And it just kept turning to this thing of like the unknown, and that's sort of like what kept driving me. Because I just never know. I just never know what to expect. The minute you start really knowing exactly how this path is going to go is when you just sort of either get bored or it's like idle hands is the devil's playground. You'll sort of find your boredom somewhere because you know what to expect and you're going to do something wrong. And so for me, what keeps me on my toes is the constant unknown, the constant unpredictable nature of the band. It's like, even go back to what Ben said, it's like number 12 was always known to be making these songs that were so unpredictable. Like just you're down this path of this punishing death metal, huge, and everything stops and it turns into this jazz breakdown into clean guitars and these off-time signatures, and then Eric Nally singing this part, and it's just like, what the fuck world did I just jump to? And so to me, it's that constant unknown of like how are we going to surprise ourselves? What are people going to expect? Because we don't. That's part of why it's so exciting. And then what's gonna come next? And I don't know. I just don't know what's gonna come next. I know. I mean, it might be a little premature to say this, but let's just say maybe number 12, maybe a new number 12 song will make an appearance in my movie. I don't know, but that's pretty cool because
that's fucking crazy.
Make it emerging world, and again, it's that unknown. It's like, whoa, that's cool. So my two worlds colliding in a scene on a screen, and so who knows what's going to come? So that's what's next for number 12 is like, who knows what's going to happen with this band? Who knows what's going to happen when these new songs eventually come out? Who knows what kind of shows we're going to do? Who knows? Like, I don't know. I don't know. That's why it's exciting.
Oh, hell yeah.
Do you know what to be expecting in terms outside of the band for your photography and film career, aside of a potential collaboration with your band? And
well, that's much more formulaic. That one I have to have a bit more of a trajectory for.
Perfect.
Right.
So what's the next goal or milestone for that career path?
Well, yeah. So for me and Yale Productions is to, for us, we really want to try to elevate our films. I mean, every film that you see on our sort of page has some sort of recognizable face, and that's sort of our thing is like making these movies that have an audience and you see recognizable faces. So for us, it's always just leveling up, trying to get another amazing movie with another amazing actor. That feeling of having a script that's so cool. And then getting a big actor on board, that feeling is just like, it's just like, oh, oh, that's cool. Or like for me, I have a movie that I brought in. I got this awesome script. So we did a movie called Chick Fight with Malin Ackerman, Alec Baldwin. So me and Malin Ackerman, we became friendly, and she's like, "Oh, I'd love for you to read my husband's scripts. He's a writer." I read one of his scripts. I'm like, "Dude, this is so good, but why don't we change this, this, and this, merge it here?" And we sort of collaborated a little bit, and then we brought it in, and then we got a director. We brought Alicia Silverstone, Carl Glussman, and then we made this movie. And so it's coming out. It's not out yet, but like a movie, that's just a random example of a movie where things
Right.
that come to play and just all sort of happen. And then day one happens on set, and you're just watching it all move. You're like, whew, that's cool. So there's no feeling better than getting to day one. And then also, apart from that, being able to, because I'm still the one who's hiring myself to shoot the movie poster. So I'm photographing David Duchovny, I'm photographing, Alicia, Antonio Banderas, all these people. And it's like, word will sort of get around, like, oh, like, someone like, oh, I heard that you're in a band. And I was like, no need to go there, but yes, looks like you. So it's weird to be telling Antonio Banderas about the number 12 looks like you. It's a little weird. So
Sounds like a song title from the early 2000s. Like,
I'm just like Zorro knows what the number 12 looks like you is. Like that's insane.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like there was, I'll always remember, had nothing to do with number 12, but when we did a movie with Kurt Russell, I was one of the biggest Big Trouble in Little China fans when I was a kid. Like, oh my God, Kurt Russell. I wanted to be Kurt Russell. So we did this movie with him, and I was actually a little starstruck because I'm like, oh my God, like.
Valid and very fair.
And so at the morning after we shot his scenes, he wrapped, we were done, and I was leaving my hotel, and I saw Kurt having breakfast. And so the night before, I did all of the movie posters. So I was shooting him for the movie poster, and he was coming up to my screen, looking at the photos. He's like, wow, this is great. Let's try something else. And he'd go back, do another pose, come back. He's like, oh man. And he'd come back, do another pose. And I'm like, that was cool. And then so when I saw him the next morning, I'm like, you know what? It's time. I got to tell him. So I was like, hey, Kurt, I was like, hey, I just wanted to like just say, for me, it was such an honor to work with you, but Big Trouble in Little China, man, let me tell you, in the place where I was as a child, a very dark place, like movies like yours, they got me out of bed because I loved watching it over and over, and I just wanted to be you, Jack, and I was like, thank you, and then he like put his fork down from eating, and he like shook my hand. He was just like, and we just had for the next 10 minutes the most intimate heart-to-heart conversation. Him talking about like, he's like, what your talent is with the photos that you took of me. He's like, I've just never really seen anything like it. He's like, you just captured this emotion, and the essence of that character is, I couldn't really wrap my head around it. I was just staring at it. It's like, the lighting and everything. And I just sat there like, I'm gonna throw up, I'm gonna throw up, I'm gonna throw up, I'm gonna throw up on your food. I just couldn't believe it. And he's talking to me about what it's like to grow up in this film industry, and giving me advice of how to move forward in the film industry, and people to look out for, people to be, hey, I got you in my peripheral, don't fuck with me because I know the guy, and like just sort of give me a little bit of like quick on the go advice moving forward in life. And it was like I went to my car and I was shaking. My hands were shaking because it was so emotional. I didn't know what to do. I was so emotional. I didn't cry. I just was emotional. I was shaking, and it was so much for me to wrap my head around that what just happened. Getting complimented by Kurt Russell, but also him giving me advice, and us leaving on that sort of note just um, it was just a true life experience to like that's like what you live for, you know?
Hmm. That's holy shit. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I can't even. Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to get life advice from fucking Snake Plissken, dude. Like
Yeah.
that must have been beyond. Of course, you were emotional. I don't blame you.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like moving forward in the photography film career is like keep doing what I'm doing, but get better at what I'm doing. And for me, I really, really, really have the bug to direct. So I feel so proud and so honored that my guys at Yale gave me a chance and Joe, and I just feel like I'm so ready to show the world my next move of a movie. I'm just ready. I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm in the place where I needed to be, where I need to be right, or needed to be. I need to still be. So I'm hoping that this next path, this next chapter, just like everything in my life is chapters, whether it's a number 12 chapter or a movie poster chapter or a Napalm Rainbow chapter. It's always a chapter. And I feel like this is like the next one for me. It's directing.
That's
That's awesome.
amazing. For the final chapter of our podcast chat, is there any last shout outs, any plugs, causes? Elias, don't laugh. It was a good segue.
Yeah, no.
It's a good segue.
No, it was. Just
Yeah,
caught me
I
off
see you
guard.
laugh. Yeah. Is there any last plugs, shout outs, causes, anything you want to talk about at all? And then we'll play an outro track on the audio podcast and say our sayonaras.
Um, you know, I feel like everyone that I would have wanted to plug, I have already sort of mentioned their names in this podcast. And you know, I think I don't know, I think I think at least again for me personally, I feel like um yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's so many people I would want to sort of thank and plug into just who helped me get me to where I am today. Um, it's everyone who I mentioned. It's a lot of people who I haven't mentioned, but there's just too many because I'm just I'm in a great place right now. I'm super happy with everything every career that I'm in, whether it's Yale Productions or Napalm Rainbow or my photography, all the like different companies that support me. Nanlight, you know, it's an amazing light company who give me lights to create more imagery, and there's just so many people to thank. Yeah, I wouldn't even know where to plug, so I'll just sort of leave it at you know, look into everything that I said.
That's awesome. And for fans who are listening and they want to look into more of your work, Elias actually composed a document of a bunch of research we did before having this interview, which we'll post for free on our Patreon as well if anyone wants to listen to more podcasts you've done, see some articles, things like that. But again, thank you so much for coming to chat with us. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, truly a blast. Thank you, Jesse. Truly, this has been
Welcome.
awesome.
You guys.
Escape from the crucifix. sure.